Hello and welcome back to Listen Up. And I'm sure, like most of you are right now, I'm pretty speechless to be honest with you guys. Man, boy, boy, do we have a lot to talk about tonight. And unfortunately, I'm by myself. Phil not able to join me tonight. And yeah, I mean, we all witnessed history tonight. Unfortunately, it was the wrong side of history for UConn. Two separate things. UConn has, or excuse me, Marquette has never defeated UConn in program history until tonight. And the second one is UConn loses back-to-back games for the first time since March of 1993. And for those of you counting, that's 1,083 games. So both of those streaks come to an end tonight. Pretty incredible streaks finally came to an end tonight. Same starting five for the 12th straight game. UConn, they started out pretty good. They started out with 3 straight buckets inside the paint. Dorka got 2 and Aaliyah got 1. And also Lou Lopez, this is good. Lou Lopez scored her 2,000th career point. I think Aaliyah scored her 1,000th the other day. We got Lou scoring her 2,000th. So congrats to Lou. She's had quite the pretty good graduate season and graduate year here at UConn. And then after that, though, UConn had some sloppy passes, a couple of turnovers, and their offense kind of just turned into one pass and then shoot really quick, which is not the usual UConn Huskies offense that we're used to. Marquette, or I should say Jordan King, went on her own 10-0 run, and the Golden Eagles found themselves ahead by 6 at the end of the first quarter. And UConn didn't score for 4 minutes after starting the quarter on an 8-2 run. 6 turnovers, bad decisions, poor shooting. There were many things that UConn could have improved upon. And I would not want to be in that huddle after that first quarter because you could see the steam coming out of Gino's ears. And you could really see the frustration coming from Gino pretty much the whole night watching that game. And it just seemed like UConn was one step behind. Marquette had all the momentum. They sucked all the energy from UConn. The home crowd was really feeling it tonight. And it seemed like there was no communication on defense. And you have to give credit to Marquette. Megan Duffy had her girls playing good basketball, very good defensive team, a very efficient scoring team. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but to me, when I was watching the game tonight, it seemed like at times UConn was moving in slow motion on offense. Their body language was bad. It just seemed like they were jogging around screens, and then the ball would get lobbed or overthrown to somebody down inside the paint. And UConn definitely they were gonna have to straighten themselves out some way to try to get themselves back into this game to try to win it. And they did a little bit to end the second quarter, a 12-2 run. They still trailed by 5 at halftime, but a little better defense to end the quarter. Couple comments from Gino at halftime. I wanted to summarize them really quick. And that was UConn is not in a good place mentally. He said stagnant on offense, and he can't understand the turnovers and mistakes UConn are making. And I like the energy that UConn came out with in the third 7-0 run, thanks to Aubrey hitting a couple 3 throws plus a 3. And Aaliyah scored inside as well. But Marquette was still fighting hard. Chloe Marotta, she was really good tonight. Definitely the player of the game alongside Jordan King. Marotta and King had themselves quite a night against UConn in front of their home crowd. But Chloe Marotta had a terrific third and fourth quarter. It was really a back and forth third quarter, both teams battling. Megan Duffy, she got pretty frustrated because there were probably a couple calls that went the way of the UConn Huskies, but nonetheless, Marquette took a 1-point lead into the final quarter. And in the fourth quarter, Marquette still had all the momentum. Chloe Marotta was making big time shots. Jordan King, despite having 4 fouls, she sat for a little bit in the fourth quarter. She still made some big time plays. And Marquette, they upset UConn 59-52 final score tonight, and quite stunning fashion, shocking fashion tonight. And I think it was more of what Marquette did rather than what UConn didn't do. And you really have to tip your hats to Marquette, um, because they really did play an amazing game in front of their home crowd. Megan Duffy had her team ready to play, and they believed from the opening tip tonight that they could beat UConn, and that's half the battle, I think, with some of these teams that play UConn. I think they just go in and really don't expect to win, or they don't believe in themselves to win. But you could really tell tonight that Megan Duffy and the Marquette Golden Eagles believed that they could beat UConn, and that's what they did tonight. It was really it was a emotional, physical, and mentally tough game for UConn. And like I said before, Marquette just really sucked all the energy, or whatever energy UConn had to start the game. Marquette took it all away right from the start. And it really didn't help that Caroline was unavailable for tonight's game, because they definitely could have used her offense and just another body coming out onto the floor. And I think, speaking about that, the lack of a bench is finally starting to catch up to UConn, and barely hanging on by a thread for the past month, I'd say. And these past 2 games, it's caught up to them. And we can also talk about the turnovers too. I kept saying it's going to come back to haunt them later in the season. Well, that's where we are right now, later in the season. And I'd say those 19 turnovers tonight didn't help their cause at all. I'll go over each player's performance and then get into a couple comments. We'll start it out with Dorka Juhas. Bright spot, one of the few bright spots tonight for UConn, I'd say, despite her having 5 turnovers. Dorka had 15 and 11 tonight. She played good, and her defense was pretty good too. 3 blocks tonight. Aaliyah Edwards had 8 and 12. A couple times the ball just slipped out of her hands and gave Marquette another possession. There were some things throughout really the whole entire game that just didn't go UConn's way. The announcers were commenting on that. It just seemed like the game didn't go UConn's way in general. Like I said, not taking anything away from Marquette at all. They played a spectacular game. They really did, but it just seemed like UConn couldn't catch a break at some points in the game, and really didn't go UConn's way tonight. That's for sure. I kind of had this thought too. It just seems like when you're watching a game, you think that a team that's playing should win, but they sometimes they don't win. You could be watching a game and thinking that team played really good, but they didn't pull it out. Well, Marquette pulled it out tonight. They definitely played. They definitely seemed like the better team tonight. They were the better team tonight, and they were able to win this game tonight against UConn. But getting back to Aaliyah Edwards, I wish she would have been more aggressive at times, going for rebounds. I think with Dorka and Aaliyah's size down low, UConn should not be letting up so many rebounds that lead to second chance points. That they only out rebounded Marquette by three total rebounds tonight. They're gonna have to do a better job rebounding on the offensive and defensive end moving forward. Nika Mule, again, not the best game from Nika tonight. 4 turnovers. I could talk about turnovers for for pretty much every player for UConn, because they all had their fair share of them tonight. Aubrey didn't have her best game defensively. She let a couple players get open. A couple of her assignments got open threes, driving to the lane. Not the best defensive game tonight for Aubrey Griffin. And Lou also struggled from the field. Lou struggled a little bit tonight, especially in the first half. Just 5 of 15. And UConn as a team only shot 3 for 13 on 3-point attempts. So really just couldn't get the outside shot going in general. And Lou kind of struggled a little bit. It seems like at times she's forcing shots maybe. But like I said, there's really there's really not that many players that Gino has that can shoot the ball right now. Really not that many offensive shooting threats. Talking about outside the paint, of course. But a little struggle tonight from Lou. Ayana and Amari, 3 players off the bench. They came in for a short period of time in the first half. Amari played the most out of the 3, but really no impact on the game. I really hope Caroline comes back on Saturday for the game against Georgetown, or next week, because they really do need her. I'll go over a couple comments and then sign off for tonight on a really, really rough night for us UConn fans. I think a lot of us are gonna sleep pretty restless tonight and try to unpack and figure out how we can get over this one. But I mean, it's really no panic, right? We're still UConn's still gonna make March Madness, but for this to happen this late in the season, it's gonna take I don't know what it's gonna take, to be honest to you guys, but I think UConn just needs to regroup, get on the same page. We need to get Caroline and AZ back before March Madness. So hopefully we can string together a couple of wins. We got Villanova next week, I think. Um, and then after that, of course, the Big East tournament. So a lot of games coming up to close out the season. So I think that UConn just needs to regroup mentally, especially mentally, and try to just bring it back together here for the last couple of weeks of the season. But tonight we'll start with Richard Bueller. He goes, I think the girls played a very good game against South Carolina. All they needed was one of their shooters off the bench with a couple threes, and it's a different ball game entirely. I believe that UConn will only get better. I think they'll be peaking at just the right time. Keep up the good work, guys. Well, unfortunately, unfortunately, they didn't get better in this game. It was quite the sloppy performance, I'd say. But I believe that UConn can get better, and I think they definitely will. They're gonna have to when they get to March. They can't play like this, or they'll probably be out in the first round, honestly, probably getting upset by a 15 seed. But I mean, Marquette is a very good team. I think they did play really good against South Carolina, and I think that's why I think all of you guys watching and me right now, I'm still shocked and surprised and stuttering over my words a little bit because I can't really figure out why or how or who any verb. I can't figure this game out tonight, but they just played so good against South Carolina, and we all thought, well, here's the momentum coming, and we're gonna finish out the season strong, and we're gonna get a rematch against South Carolina. And tonight, it just seems like that all went down the drain just that quickly. Um, but yeah, I think, it's definitely important that they peak at the right time for sure. So like I said, let's just hope they can bring it all together and peak at the right time. We'll get into one more. JS Guitar Geek goes, "This is great stuff, guys. Thank you. Here's something. Gino recently said that he doesn't know what game is being played out there, but it's not basketball, referring to the pummeling given to his players. He referenced bruises over Lou's body. To me, seems like Georgetown was the first team to work physical, euphemism for fouling play into their UConn game. And since then, all teams are doing that. Thoughts?" Well, I saw this. Me and Phil were talking about this earlier today, and I think Dawn Staley commented back and said it just kind of said, I think that South Carolina and her girls play the right way, and she doesn't really understand why people are commenting on why South Carolina is playing the way that they do because she believes that her girls play basketball the right way. It's definitely a very interesting topic. I was trying to just kind of figure out these comments earlier today. I'm not sure if I agree with them or not, but I will say it's definitely evident that UConn or UConn's opponents play them pretty toughly. But I think you have to be able to beat UConn. Like I said, it's more of a mental thing, but really inside, it's a battle every single night for every team that plays UConn, even for South Carolina with how many bigs that they have. Going up against Aaliyah and Dorka isn't easy for a lot of teams or any team that UConn plays. And it's definitely obvious that Lou Lopez is a really good shooter. And by now, since the beginning of January, February, the whole country has figured out and found out about Lou Lopez Seneschal and what a great scorer and player that she is. So I think a lot of teams are trying to really face guard her and really work her throughout the whole entire game. So, and I think the bruises, I think that just goes back to UConn being physically tired, mentally or physically worn down and mentally tired. So it's just a really rough time right now, especially after this loss, or these back-to-back losses rather. So, like I said, hopefully we can figure it out and pull things together. But it definitely is an interesting topic, and I'm not sure if you guys have anything to say about that or not. But I think that'll be all for me tonight. Final score 59-52, Marquette upsetting UConn, and UConn losing back-to-back games for the first time since March of 1993. Me and Phil will be back on Friday, I believe, for the last check-in versus Georgetown, and then we will be back on Saturday for the game recap against Georgetown. So hopefully UConn can bounce back with the win against Georgetown. And that's it for me for now. I'll see you guys Friday. This has been Rye, signing off for now.